Hey, what's up, everyone? Sorry, guys, I've been gone for a long time. I've been very busy, but now I'm back. Now, this is going to be a review for episode 318 of Naruto Shippuden. Now, before I start actually getting into it, I'm going to start by saying that at the very beginning of the episode, there was a phrase or part of it that made me laugh so hard. And that was when Killer B said a phrase of, "Don't worry, be happy." Now, you probably heard that phrase many times, but the reason it made me laugh so hard was because I felt like something was knocking in the back of my head, reminding me of something, and that was of this song that was by, like, these talking fish that I used to see when I was a little kid, and they would sing a song, and the most common phrase of the song was, "Don't worry, be happy." And when I just heard that coming out of Killer B's mouth, it made me laugh so hard, and it made me start thinking, God, was this intentional or unintentional? Was this just good timing or something? Like, what is going on here? I mean, it was just flat out pretty crazy, and it just it started off made this episode start off pretty well because it just made me laugh, and it was unexpected. It really was overall. Now let's start actually getting to the episode. Now, this was one of those episodes that didn't take very long to actually get into the deep stuff or anything like that. Now, it started off with, Killer B using the restroom, and he's about to start going into Naruto's direction because he's way far behind. And a little bit later, while he's walking away towards Naruto, he sees an unexpected visitor that he did not expect at all, and that is the old Eight Tails Jinchuriki before him. Now, I'm going to start off by saying that if you remember him, they didn't really give very much detail or in-depth about him. They did give you a good idea what kind of character he was and everything, but it left you on a cliffhanger, like how did he die, how things end for him and stuff like that. But in this episode, they started explaining more as it started getting more into the episode, and they did a great job on that. They didn't really go too deep into it that it really started feeling like not a flashback, but a filler or something like that. But they did repeat a few flashbacks, but they did it in a way where they actually all fit together in a way that they make more sense, and didn't feel like they were just going all over the place or just putting that in the episode to fill up time or something like that. Now, as they start going more into it and about how he died and explaining things, you guys probably won't be surprised about this, but Orochimaru was involved. He most definitely was. Now, before I start getting into how he was involved, as him and Killer B were actually talking, not very long afterwards, he actually started transforming into the cloak of the Eight Tails chakra, which is just mind-blowing. It's like, hold on. Obviously the Eight Tails and Killer B, but obviously this guy has, some of the chakra from it, and it's like, how is this? And it wasn't just like a weak amount, it was like an immense amount, like no joke, and it was pretty tense, and it was really crazy, and it was just, how is this possible? Now, how Orochimaru was involved was that he actually poisoned the Eight Tails, or put something in him, so then he would be weak, and so then Orochimaru would go after him and try to unleash the Eight Tails. Now, how he did it, which actually surprises me, was somehow he has the same thing that Naruto, and I believe his dad had, where, all the finger palms, or the fingertips lit up, like kind of light blue, or kind of clear or white kind of light, and puts on the chest, and then just turns it, and it just unseals it completely. And that was just crazy. It's like, how did he get this? How did Orochimaru get this? This is crazy. That's another reason you don't ever want Orochimaru to touch Naruto. Like, no joke. And just really, really be a bad idea. Now, when he unsealed him, while the Eight Tails was getting attacked, one of the guys ended up cutting off his horn. Now, what Orochimaru did while he was in disguise was take samples of that horn. Now, I'm not sure if he got the full horn later, or try to transform something, make it look like it, so then they think they got it while Orochimaru gets the whole thing, or if he somehow, with the samples he took, he had it multiply or something like that, so then he could create a new horn himself over time. And when they showed that, I was like, God, this is very similar to when the Eight Tails was attacked by Sasuke, when, the Eight Tails, Killer B, did the transformation, so then he can make it look like him, when in reality it was just a cut off, like, limb, or, like, one of those flabbery things from the octopus. But, yeah, anyways, transform that to make it look like him, and really it was just, it was very similar idea and thing, but the main thing that kind of, really makes me wonder is, like, how did he put that horn into the reanimation jutsu? Because it would make sense if you had to somehow give it to him, after being reanimated. in order for him to, be able to bring out all that chakra and everything, but somehow he already had it, and it was just like, how is this possible? And it really just makes you think, wow, if Orochimaru could really get this deep and accurate into the reanimation jutsu to every detail without screwing up or making them, like, come back to life just as a Jinchuriki or something like that, or messing up their body the way they come back or any of that kind of stuff. No, it just didn't mess up on that. And it was just really crazy to see that, and it got really tense with the fighting between the two, because like the chakra was really immense, and it's just things were just getting just blown away and just destroyed all around them and everything like that. And to see how just Orochimaru seems to always be involved on just about everything is just crazy. And it's like, how many things do we not know about him that he did before he died? It's crazy. He's done so many things, like, no joke. Now, as I started getting more into the episode, one of the main points of the episode for Killer Bee and the Eight Tails old Jinchuriki to actually, talk and everything and see each other again was for him to actually, talk to him about how he filled that gap in his heart. Because as you remember, when they talked about the old Eight Tails Jinchuriki, he talked about how, he didn't really think he was going to live or anything like that, or not very long, because he still didn't know what it was he needed to find to fill that empty gap in his heart that makes it so possible for the Eight Tails, or any tailed beast to get out so easily, because that's kind of their gap of how they get out and everything like that. And, towards the end, that's when Killer Bee started, like telling him, how he filled up that gap and everything like that. And he was very happy for Killer Bee and happy to see how he'd grown up all these years and everything like that. And Killer Bee ended up saying something like, well, you're a part of it. You helped fill that gap, how you were a part of my life when I was younger and stuff like that. And that was extremely emotional. And that's what actually ended up breaking the reanimation jutsu, because when they were getting to the fighting, things were getting so tense, and at one point, Killer Bee just completely destroyed him, but since he was under the reanimation jutsu, he came back as a Jinchuriki just right away, or just tailed Beast cloak, and it was crazy. It was getting tense. It's like, God, if there was no way to seal him, you're kind of screwed, or it's just like gonna be like endless. It's just crazy. That's why you need someone to be able to seal that up, especially when it's something at a tailed beast level, like just crazy. Now, as things start getting more into the episode, that's kind of how things ended. And, with him, being kind of destroyed, or whatever you want to call it, by just being so emotionally, kind of, affected by everything. And Kabuto just acted actually very surprised about that. Now, this is one of those things that I just really started thinking towards the end. And it's like, Kabuto, why didn't you use that Eight Tails to possibly feed it to the Ten Tails, or to help complete the Ten Tails? I can almost bet you that would help a tremendous amount to make the Ten Tails much more strong. And understanding he was trying, because it was a person that was so dear and close to him, to Killer Bee, that would be the best way to, get there, or get to that certain point. But at the same time, if things are going to be like that, they could be super emotional, and that's how they break loose. That's how that happens. And it's just mind-boggling, like, why didn't he do this overall? So for this episode, I'm going to give it a 4.25 rating out of 5. Now, the reason for that is because I believe it deserves more than a 4, but maybe not quite a 4.5. Now, overall, this was a very great episode overall. I mean, they did a great job not going too much into flashbacks, making it feel like a filler. They did a great job of not making it feel like it was just trying to fill up time on the episode or something like that. And there was a lot of action. There was a lot of scenes, and there were some questions being answered, and we also got to see of more stuff that Orochimaru did and that kind of stuff. And also we got to see something just very cool and unexpected. And then just the episode was overall very good, and it feels like one of those episodes. It really just seems like we haven't seen an episode like this for quite a while. Maybe like since like 20 to 40 or maybe possibly 60 episodes ago. It just feels like it's been a long time since there's been an episode like this where they actually just sat down and they've had something like this, and it wasn't just, like random people or just places, people all over the place and that kind of stuff. And it was actually, a really good character. And in the end, we got to learn more about Orochimaru, how the old Jinchuriki died, and we got to learn about Killer Bee, like what he considers to be what fills up that gap in his heart, and what helps him take control and, really maintain being a Jinchuriki so well, especially as a person. well, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching, and if you have any answers to actually some of those questions I was kind of wondering about, or if you noticed that thing in the very beginning of the episode like I did, make sure you post that in the comments below, because I would love to see your guys' reactions, or see if anybody else actually thought of it that way. So, well, anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.